Welcome back to our channel. Today is a truly spectacular Thursday to dive deep into the latest heart-stopping developments in Port Charles. We are absolutely buzzing with excitement to break down the incredible twists and turns our favorite characters are navigating right now. There is so much rich, emotional storytelling to unpack, so let's get right into the heart of the drama. I feel so incredibly electrified by the sheer tension of the opening moments we are getting with Carly and Valentine. I genuinely think we're missing the point if we don't recognize the absolute masterclass in pacing that the writers are delivering right now. When Carly gets a disturbing phone call and spills a shocker to Valentine Cassadine, the shift in the atmosphere is palpable. I love the way the lighting changed in the car, catching the sudden, stark panic on Carly's face. The way I interpret it, this isn't just a random emergency. This is the culmination of all the secrets and lies they've been balancing. I feel like this is the best they've written Valentine because we are finally seeing the cracks in his composed, fugitive armor. When he realizes that Charlotte might be in danger, you can see the immediate shift in his body language. I think the writer's choice to have them driving together in the dark when this news hits is brilliant because it physically traps them in a small, claustrophobic space with their worst fears. And those fears are entirely justified because the crash sequence is nothing short of cinematic perfection. I know a lot of people are saying this storyline is dragging, or that there are too many moving parts, but I actually think the slow burn is exactly what's needed because I feel like it makes the sudden burst of violence so much more impactful. Just look at Jordan and Curtis. I was smiling so hard when Jordan got a bit distracted kissing Curtis Ashford behind the wheel. It was such a rare, beautiful moment of pure joy for a couple that has been through absolute hell lately. But the way I see it, the writers gave us that sweet, tender kiss specifically to rip the rug out from under us. When Jordan looked horrified once she put her eyes back on the road and had to swerve to avoid a car coming at her, my heart was in my throat. I believe that setting up their romantic bliss mere seconds before a life-altering collision is a stroke of tragic genius. Then we have the other side of this devastating coin, Danny and Charlotte. I feel so incredibly heartbroken for these kids. Danny was talking about wanting to speed towards something fast, and Charlotte offered to help out with that before this crash went down. In my opinion, this perfectly captures the reckless, invincible feeling of teenage rebellion mixed with the deep, unhealed trauma both of these characters are carrying. Danny is spiraling over Jason's WSB custody, and Charlotte is dealing with her father being a fugitive. The way I interpret it, their desire to just drive fast and escape is a physical manifestation of their psychological need to outrun their family legacies. I think it is absolutely brilliant that their desperate need for control is exactly what causes them to lose control entirely on that dark road. But the absolute kicker, the twist that had me literally shouting at my screen, is Brooklyn Quartermain's potential involvement. I feel like the camera work here deserves an Emmy. The way the show really focused on the wine bottle and glass Brooklyn left behind was such a chilling, deliberate choice. It wasn't subtle, and it wasn't meant to be. I know some fans are upset, claiming that Brooklyn would never be so careless, especially when she and Chase are trying to foster baby Phoebe. But I genuinely think we're missing the point if we demand our characters to be perfect. The way I see it, Brooklyn is under an immense amount of pressure right now. The conditional approval, the social worker's doubts, Willow's secret investigations, it is all weighing on her. I believe that having her take a drink to take the edge off, only to be summoned to Charlie's pub by Dante Falconeri for Giovanni, Gio Palmieri's performance, is a beautifully tragic setup. I think the writer's choice to leave it ambiguous, making us wonder if tipsy Brooklyn veered over the line a bit and led to Charlotte trying to avoid her, is a masterstroke of suspense. If Brooklyn inadvertently caused Charlotte to swerve into Jordan's vehicle, the ripple effects will tear Port Charles apart. I feel so deeply for Brooklyn because she will make it to Charlie's pub in one piece, completely oblivious to the utter devastation she might have just left in her wake. The dramatic irony of her arriving safely while multiple families are bleeding on the asphalt is just spectacular daytime television. And speaking of families in crisis, we have to talk about Lulu Spencer's living nightmare. I feel like this is the most grounded, relatable panic we've seen from Lulu in a long time. Lulu just summoned Isaiah Gannon for a house call since she's concerned about Rocco Falconeri's hand being infected. I love the intimate, secretive nature of this scene. Lulu already got Isaiah to agree to keep this visit between them, which highlights her desperate need to protect Rocco from Dante's relentless police instincts. The way I interpret it, Lulu knows deep down that Rocco is hiding something massive about the pier shooting, and she is trying to manage the fallout internally. But when Isaiah confirms Rocco indeed has an infection that needs to be dealt with, her illusion of control shatters. I genuinely think we're missing the point if we don't appreciate the poetic tragedy of where this is heading. Lulu will have no choice but to take Rocco to the ER, where Charlotte may be taken soon enough. I feel like the writers are orchestrating a magnificent, terrible convergence at General Hospital. Lulu may freak out when she realizes both of her kids have had to make hospital trips on the exact same night. In my opinion, this is generational trauma playing out in real time. Lulu is going to be standing in that brightly lit ER, watching the consequences of the Spencer, Falconeri, and Cassadine legacies crash down on her children simultaneously. I think the emotional payoff of this hospital sequence is going to be absolutely legendary. Meanwhile, back at Charlie's pub, we have a completely different kind of heartbreak playing out with Gio. I feel so incredibly touched by his vulnerability in these scenes. Brooklyn obviously didn't make it to Charlie's pub in time for Gio's performance, so she'll be apologetic, but it's his reaction that really got to me. When Gio admits it would have been nice to look out and see Brooklyn in the audience, and then softly adds that he should have invited his bio mom if he wanted her there, my heart just broke for him. The way I see it, Gio is masking his deep fear of abandonment with a casual, almost passive-aggressive observation. I believe the choice to have him perform at the newly reopened Charlie's pub, a place of celebration and community, only highlights his internal isolation. I think the writers are doing a phenomenal job of layering his character, showing that beneath the Broadway dreams and the charming dates with Emma, there is a boy who just desperately wants his mother to show up for him. And speaking of Emma, I love the brief but significant moment where Dante will quiz Emma Scorpio Drake about Anna Devane and whether there's any additional information on her condition. I feel like this grounds Dante in the wider reality of Port Charles. Even while his own son is spiraling and his ex-wife is keeping secrets, he is still a cop, still a friend, still deeply embedded in the WSB-adjacent drama. It's a small beat, but in my opinion, it makes the world feel so much more connected and lived in. Now, we absolutely must shift gears and talk about the suffocating, gothic tension happening over at Windemere. I feel like the scenes between Britt Westbourne, Cassius Faison, and Jen Sidwell are some of the most compelling television we've had all year. I genuinely think we're missing the point if we just view Sidwell as a standard villain. He is a grieving, ruthless force of nature, and Britt is trapped right in the eye of his storm. I love the way the scene was blocked, with Cassius, aka fake Nathan West, helping Britt try to smooth things over with Jen Sidwell. The psychological tightrope Cassius is walking is incredible. He looks like Nathan, he sounds somewhat like Nathan, but the terrifying reality of his Faison lineage is bubbling right beneath the surface. I feel so incredibly anxious for Britt here. The way I interpret it, she is making the ultimate devil's bargain. Cassius insisted, telling Sidwell about Ross Cullum killing Marco Rios could end in disaster, and he is absolutely right. I think the writer's choice to have Cullum control the flow of Britt's medication is a stroke of absolute brilliance. It strips Britt of her usual defiance. She can't just blow up the room and walk away because her literal survival depends on those vials. So, instead, we get to see a completely different side of her. When Britt vows to do whatever Sidwell wants, if he'll let her live, she has to swallow every ounce of her pride. I feel like this is the best they've written Britt because it forces her to use her intellect and her acting skills to survive, rather than just her sharp tongue. She has to act like she's learned her lesson, and watching her mask her true intentions behind a facade of submission is thrilling, but Sidwell is nobody's fool. I believe his reaction is perfectly calibrated to maximize our dread. Sidwell may consider it, but the fact that he warns Cassius that they'll have to get rid of Britt permanently if she doesn't deliver the prototype shows just how expendable she is to him. The way I see it, Sidwell is already planning his endgame. He won't have much use for her then, and I think the writers are setting up a spectacular, high-stakes escape for Britt down the line. Every single look exchanged in that dark, echoing Windemere living room is loaded with lethal intent. And just when you think the tension at Windemere couldn't possibly get any higher, in walks Ava Jerome. I let out a literal gasp when Ava catches Cassius in a moment alone with Sidwell. This is soap opera perfection. I feel like the comedic yet terrifying irony of this moment is unmatched. Ava will naturally assume Cassius is Nathan, so she'll jokingly wonder if somebody is under arrest. I love the way she delivered that line, so breezy, so completely unaware that she is standing in a room with a Phazon imposter and a murderous mercenary. In my opinion, Ava's presence acts as the perfect catalyst to show just how quick on his feet Sidwell really is. I think the writer's choice to have Sidwell cover by insisting Nathan was just there to give him the latest information on the investigation into Marco's demise was incredibly smooth. It plays perfectly into Ava's existing knowledge of the situation without giving away the terrifying truth. I feel so incredibly invested in this dynamic because Sidwell will ultimately make Ava his confidant again, drawing her deeper into his web, even though he'll still be keeping plenty of secrets. The way I interpret it, Ava thinks she is playing her usual game of high society chess, but she doesn't realize Sidwell is playing Russian roulette. The impending crash of Ava's reality when she realizes who Nathan really is will be a scene for the history books. In conclusion, I am just so deeply in love with the current state of this show. From the fiery, twisted metal of the car crash on the dark roads of Port Charles to the icy, lethal power games happening behind the closed doors of Windemere, every single character is being pushed to their absolute limits. I know some fans complain about the anxiety-inducing nature of these plots, but I genuinely think we're missing the point if we don't embrace the thrill of the ride. The writers are weaving a magnificent tapestry of consequence, trauma, and survival, and I for one cannot wait to see how every single thread unravels.